Blitzers, welcome back to the channel. The Muffin here. I have a subscriber request for the Nashorn. If there's a tank you're struggling with or an aspect of the game, I am compiling a tips and tricks playlist. Shoot over there. Hopefully there's a video that can help you out. But let's dive right into the Nashorn. So the Nashorn is a tank that really has no armor. And the number one thing you also have to understand, just stating the obvious, is it's a tank destroyer. So as I said in my previous tips and tricks videos, a tank destroyer is a tank that you're constantly having to put yourself in positions to support your team. You want to be in positions to make sure that you're with them, you're moving with them, you're within that radius of them, and you're constantly putting yourself in those ways that you can make sure you're providing that suppressive fire, ways that can protect them while they try to back up or spot or whatever the case may be. So here I'm trying to put myself in that supportive position behind a rock, and understanding where they are, where the enemy could be. I know that typically they have tank destroyers on their opposite side, kind of on this hill as well. And sometimes they just blind shot right over into this bush, which is why I want to make sure I'm behind a rock. Now you'll notice a lot of the time, because the Nashorn has no armor, I heavily rely on the landscape to protect myself. So walls, rocks, things of that sort, you want to stay very, very close to. Now, one of the areas that the Nashorn really shines in, and just to put an emphasis on that beautiful German engineering, is it has great accuracy. It has a really good cannon. And just from being a position of supporting the team, I know some players can get mixed up with camping and effective sniping, which is what I've talked about before as well. So camping would have just me staying in a single position the entire game and not moving. That's not what you ever want to do. I'm still moving around, and even when I'm trying to get a shot on this Tiger 131, I'm staying close to the building so that I can hopefully back up, but I don't quite back up close enough. And right now, he's the center I'm his center focus. So I'm going to try to look for other ways to support my team. As the Nashorn, you don't ever want to be focusing on tanks where you're the center of attention, where cannons are pointing at you. And sometimes when you're behind cover, what you can do to help that and determine whether to pop out or move around and try to get shots on an enemy is use your third-person view. Now, I don't know why this this ARL was getting so mad at me. I was really just trying to help him out. But I'm always looking for those opportunities to support the team. And I'm also putting myself in positions where I'm looking for distracted targets and ways to, once again, support my team. So number one is a tank destroyer. Not to sound like a broken record, want to be putting yourself in a position to support. And at the beginning, I'm putting myself in a position where I could be within that radial view, that bird's eye view, to try to support my team. So as they were kind of moving up one side or another, we always can't necessarily control where our team goes, but I was trying to put myself in a way that I could really get a good eyes view on where my team was, and as they start detecting enemies, to hopefully get shots off them. And then once my team has discovered where the enemy is and has spotted them, and more of the enemy gets discovered, I can then make changes in my position to become that effective sniper, to move with them, to move kind of around, looking for those distracted targets, using the landscape as much as possible to protect yourself. So some of the strengths of the Nashorn, and that's really what it's all about, and I talk about this and also my tips and tricks videos, is you're always wanting to maximize your tank's strengths and expose your enemy's weaknesses, but protect your weaknesses as much as possible. So you have to understand the attributes of your tank to know how to play with it correctly. So once again, at the beginning, I'm moving with my team. I'm putting myself in a position where I can try to get a very clear view on the field and where they're moving up, staying within that radius of where they are and moving with them. This just goes to show just some of the accuracy. I mean, there's obviously other tanks that are more accurate, but it's really good, especially for the tier. It's got a very, very accurate and good cannon. So here my team's moving up a little bit more. I've got to change positions. I'm really paying attention to the map. I'm paying attention to my surroundings. I'm now trying to reposition myself in a different way to still be within that radius of where my team is. So now I'm trying to go over to another side of the map to provide that supportive cover. So not once am I ever trying to put myself in a position to rely on the Nashorn's armor, because it just absolutely doesn't have any. And you'll notice I try to stay a little bit more on the outskirts when it comes to being within that period of time where it makes more sense to be in that radial position, because I'm trying to put myself in a way not to get detected. That is one thing as a Nashorn you really don't want. And as our team starts progressing, we start killing more of the enemy, I become a little bit more aggressive in terms of using the landscape, making my way through. Now, here I just got detected. So when you get detected, I don't ever want to stay within one position. I want to change positions immediately. So when you see that light go off, that's a good sign to make sure you're behind cover. And typically with how that light bulb works is when you see it, the enemy has already seen you for about 3 seconds. So you don't want to just think that when you see the light bulb go off, like, oh, the enemy can now see me. No, they've already been able to see you for the last 3 seconds. So you want to get out there as quick as possible. So great shot off the SU 100Y there. Now, I totally run into lag here. One thing that's helped me with lag before, using an iOS device like my iPad, is I'll pull down my controls and just turn my internet off and on, like my Wi-Fi on and off. And for some, it'll immediately fix my ping. I know that may not help for anyone, but maybe a tips and tricks with internet. So moving in now, like as I was showing, like moving in, still using the landscape, looking for those distracted targets. And that's really how you want to play with the Nashorn. You're not sitting in one place the entire time on a map. You do want to try to be in positions to stay within that radius of your team. You want to always think in terms of support, using the landscape as much as possible, moving with your team, trying to put yourself also in positions while being in that radius while not being detected. So hopefully that helps. This is the Muffin here. Stay cool and keep tanking.